The following is a GoPowercat.com production.
With Big 12 tournament ending, Iowa State ended up being the winner with a big upset victory over Houston. Iowa State's really good. Houston's really good. Today we got Rob Sellers that covers Houston. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened there, what they have going on next, and how Houston may be able to win the national championship. This is the Big 12 Insiders.
Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show, presented by Synergy Financial Partners. Now let's go to booming North Texas, home of Studio 73. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
All right, welcome everybody. Again, this is the Big 12 Insiders. This is your guy, Brien Hanley. We have Rob Sellers here that is covering Houston Cougars with Houston Digest. Rob, how is it going today, my man?
Doing really well. How about yourself?
I am doing well. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Again, everybody, appreciate everybody being here. We have been growing like crazy. So we, number one, want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank all the guests that have made time to join us and help us grow this thing. Continue to like, comment, follow, share with everybody. And remember to also go over to YouTube because eventually we're going to be moving the platform over. So go over to Big 12 Insiders on YouTube and subscribe there. The quicker we can get to 1,000 subscribers, the quicker we can get it all moved over. So we appreciate everybody. So Rob, first thing, let's talk about what happened on Saturday. Houston, to me, from the outside looking in, it just looked like they just couldn't make any shots. Iowa State played really good because Iowa State is really good. Right. And it was just one of those clunker type of games.
Yeah, it really was. The injuries have caught up to them down the stretch, man. They've just really had some bad luck with injuries, and that was part of the deal on Saturday with Juwan Roberts. Obviously, he's been nursing a knee as it was, and on that same leg, the shin got a real bad bruise. Mm-hmm. And so he came back out the game. It was the game before when he did that. He came back in and was like just limping up and down the court trying. They gave it a whirl a little bit, pulled him back out. And then evidently it was just one of those things. They went ahead and started him on Saturday, but you could tell he wasn't 100%. And right. Eventually he came out, especially once things got out of control. They were especially quick to get him out of there, get rest and get treatment on that shin so that he can, I mean, it's one of those deals, he can play through it, but he's, with it already being that leg that he had the knee, I'm sure it didn't, it's just making it worse. So it's one of those deals, too many cold people at one time as well. Nobody really got hot that game. Usually even, Jamal Shed, he doesn't score a ton of points all the time, but there's been games this year when he's had to because of other guys being cold, and he's stepped up. Most notably that comes to mind was at Texas. He kind of took that game over himself and kind of willed them to victory by himself down the stretch on that one. But like you said, kind of once it got out of hand too, it was kind of weird to watch, to be honest with you. I've not seen that from a Kelvin Sampson team in like maybe since he got here, basically.
Yeah.
So it was weird to see. And I don't know, like I said, it's been forever since I was not unfamiliar with seeing those type of games before Kelvin Sampson. Right. And that was just how it was. So,
right.
But like it brings to mind that it's good probably for the program that's not something that happens like that anymore. So, yeah, like you said, it got out of hand. And then Iowa State, of course, I mean, everyone knows the fan base that's there. And they were into it 100%. And once the team jumped out so quick and gave them plenty to be happy and cheer about, they didn't let up. And impressive showing by their fan base. From what I understand, and like they talked on the broadcast, it seems like that was a regular occurrence, at least for K-State, Kansas, and Iowa State fans to pack that place out when their teams are doing well.
Yeah. Oh, Iowa State. I mean, they call it Hilton South because they will pack that place. I mean, they do an outstanding job of showing up to the Big 12 tournament, being loud, and basically turning it into a home game. Now, the one thing I don't want to get caught up here is Iowa State's really good.
Yeah, they are.
Houston played bad, don't get me wrong, but I think Iowa State had a little to do with that.
Absolutely.
It was just a bad game. But, yeah, Iowa State they're a good basketball team, and they took advantage of what Houston wasn't doing. Now, another thing is you talked about the injury bug a little bit. 3 games in 3 days. You know, that doesn't help when you're fighting the injury bug, Rob. I mean, that's an issue. You know, I could see, you know, if it was okay, you had a day's rest or something like that. I mean, that can make all the world a difference being having that, but to have to come out less than 24 hours later and play a high level game, I think that may have had something to do with it, with you being injured, you know, with guys being injured.
And their brand of basketball as well lends itself to, you know, as aggressive as they are, it demands a lot out of the players.
Correct.
So again, not surprised. I didn't want to use the excuse of having tired legs, but with the change in the rotation, with the guys going down, they have played more minutes as far as the backups and stuff. So, and they've extended even the starters out some. So it is what it is. You don't want to say tired legs only because of, you know, this is, you better hope not at this point in the season. You're about
absolutely
into it, of course. So, but I think just a combination, like you said, a lot of different things between a little bit of the fatigue, just because they've had to step up so much over the last month. And, you know, like I said before, just the cold shooting. It's one of those deals. They've rarely had a night where everybody was cold, and pretty much that was worst case scenario.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree. It's just, again, I shouldn't say every team, but most teams have one of those games where nothing goes right. The other team is really, really good. And when you run into that, the game gets out of hand. And that one got out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And Iowa State just never let up. They were pretty determined and wanted to win a Big 12 title, a tournament title, which they did. And good for them. Like I said, give them all the credit. Turning the page. So Houston coming up here. Can they get healthy enough to be able to pull off a nice run here in the tournament?
I think they can. I think they can with what they've got left. I think they still have a shot to make a good run. And looking at the draw they got, I mean,
yes,
I saw some other teams' draws, like UConn's draw. Of course, I was like, good grief, like, aren't they the number 1 overall seed? Shouldn't you like to give them a little bit of space there? But Houston's got a really good situation with, you know, they'll get, you know, winner of Nebraska A&M in the second round, and of course that may be the best matchup or the toughest one they see, especially as hot as A&M's been as of late. And then down, I mean, they've got Duke on that side as well, but I mean, Duke's not Duke of old at the moment, so they're obviously a good team and have talent on it, but I think it's a lot more manageable this year. And so, yeah, once you start whittling it down and following the path, I think as long as they don't have another night with like Saturday in terms of shooting, and maybe it's a good thing. You know, I'm the type of guy that thinks that might be a good thing that it went down that way on Saturday. You were able to get guys out early as much as possible, get them a little bit extra rest. And I mean, tons, as if Kelvin Sampson needs anything to teach. He's tons of teachable things from that game, of course. And so I think it might be a good thing. Maybe they got that out of their system. That they like I said, they haven't really had a game like that all year. So they got it out of their system a bit, maybe, and that's the one. And you learn from it and realize, you know, what you can do to build off of that. And yeah, I mean, I think they really do have a good shot. I've said it for a while, and I think I've said it on the show again with you, that they've got the coach, the culture, all that's in place now. They're just waiting to find the year where they have the right set of guys and they get the right type of draw in the tournament. Because I mean, that plays into it a little bit as well.
Sure.
And so a month ago, I felt pretty good. And if this team would have had fully healthy, I would feel really good about them being able to go through. But I mean, they've still got a ton of talent. They have the ability for 1, 2, and even 3 guys to get hot on any given night. And Jamal Shedd, arguably one of the top, if not the top point guards in the country. And so, you know what they say about March and guard play. So
absolutely,
I think they've got the dogs on that end. And as long as they definitely can't handle any more injuries, that's one of those deals. They have to stay healthy. But I could see them getting hot and getting on a bit of a roll.
Correct. It's, you know, it's never good to lose. You know, some people always try to say, oh, well, it was a good loss, and it's never good to lose. But if you have to lose, you lost this way at this time to have this kind of a clunker of a game. I think that was the ideal time. It's kind of what you said. It's like, okay, we got some of these guys out early. We're already battling the injury bug a little bit here. We need to just reset, not only physically, Rob, but also mentally. I mean, the Big 12 was a grind. It was just a grind for everybody. And again, Houston hasn't been in the Big 12 to understand what that grind is like. So having, number one, having these couple days off, can help reset going into the tournament and say, okay, let's reset. Again, we're about to start another grind because, again, it's the tournament. It's one game and you're done. So that's a different type of grind. But, having those couple days, and again, just maybe level setting and understanding, look, if we don't have our A game, we could be out. This could happen to us again. So I think, like, as much as you say good, bad loss, I think this just happened to be at an ideal time for Houston to be able to say, okay, let's pump the brakes here a little bit. Let's rest. Let's gather ourselves, regroup, and then let's go attack this thing. Let's go try to win a national title.
Yeah. And, Kelvin and the staff did a great job of, making sure they felt that loss, but also moved past it quickly.
Correct.
Knowing what they have in front of them. And you're not going to have 3 games in 3 days anymore down the stretch. So that should take care of that. But like you said, that grind of the Big 12 season, and everyone knew it. We talked about it earlier in the season as well. Houston handled it fairly well, and maybe that contributed some maybe to JoJo Tugler's injury, but the other guys, well, one was a guy in practice injury, but still. They have an outside shot. They've been talking. Kelvin Sampson's been talking in his media availabilities. There's an outside shot they could get Ramon Walker Jr. back. He went out with a meniscus tear, and evidently he's not too far from being back. I don't know what that means. I mean, you only have how many games left, how many weeks, but evidently there's a chance he can be back. So that just from a body standpoint would be good for them.
Gotcha. So, well, we're going to park a break right here. We'll come back on the other side of this and dig a little bit deeper into the tournament. So one quick word from our sponsor, Synergy Financial Partners, and we'll be right back.
At Synergy Financial Partners, the mission is to change the way Americans plan for their financial future. Synergy doesn't just offer you a financial plan. At Synergy, the goal is to help you find your best financial future. Learn more at synergyfinancial.com.
Welcome back to the show. Let's head back to the studio.
All right. Welcome back to Big 12 Insiders again. It's your man, Brien Hanley. We've got Rob Sellers again, who covers University of Houston. So, Rob, we talked a little bit, and we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Houston has an outstanding draw. For a team that wasn't the number 1 overall seed, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinion, I think their draw is the best one of any of the number 1 seeds out there. So, I mean, just looking at it, if you just look at the brackets, that's what it looks like. So I think for Houston fans, even though they're disappointed on not winning the Big 12 tournament title, they got to be excited when they look at their draw. Now, again, this is the NCAA tournament. Anybody can win, but they got to be excited when they're just looking at it thinking, okay, we got a shot here.
Absolutely. And, with a little bit of help outside with maybe some other upsets in the elsewhere in their side of the bracket, I mean, it could get even easier. So I'm with you. I don't think they could have asked for a better, and I think they'd trade the win on Saturday knowing that this is how the draw will.
At Synergy Financial Partners, the mission is to change the way Americans plan for their financial future. Synergy doesn't just offer you a financial plan. At Synergy, the goal is to help you find your best financial future. Learn more at synergyfinancial.com.
Welcome back to the show. Let's head back to the studio.
Well, that was a little snafu there. I apologize.
Handing out free advertising over here.
Apparently. But I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. But like I was saying, they just I don't know that they could have asked for a better draw. Like you said, the way it matches up, it really could be their toughest matchup in the second round in terms of the winner of A&M and Nebraska. With as hot as A&M is, and Nebraska's no slouch either.
Nope.
It could really work out well for them. That might end up being their toughest matchup. Duke is obviously a team full of talent, but they're not all. They're this is not Duke of 10 years ago, or this is not Coach K Duke at the moment. So I think that's a name that's on their side that people will jump out at. But, people that obviously are paying attention to basketball understand that, Duke will always have talent, but, they're not exactly humming like they were before Coach K retired. So, yeah, I mean, it's it'll be interesting to see how exactly it plays out. I know a lot of fans are hoping for this first round game Friday night to be kind of a blowout, hopefully, and take care of business early and get the guys out and get them rested as much as possible since they are dealing with some fatigue or injuries and whatnot. So I think that's kind of how folks are hoping that one plays out. And then you see what happens Saturday with the second one, and then next thing you know, you're into the second weekend, and you're kind of rolling a little bit, and then you just work on keeping that momentum going.
Yeah, absolutely. So having said that, looking back at the season so far, going through the gauntlet of non-conference and then that extreme gauntlet of the Big 12, how are Houston fans, how are they feeling about the season so far? I assume they got to be excited. The first year in the Big 12, winning the Big 12 title. Look, a lot of people think that winning the Big 12 tournament and all these conference tournaments mean more. In my opinion, Rob, I think if you win your conference, that means way more than just getting hot at the right time and winning, the Big 12. Now, I'm not saying Iowa State got hot at the right time because they were good all year long, but we've seen it in plenty of these other conferences. Hey, two teams from Power 5 conferences that had no shot of making the NCAA tournament, Oregon and NC State, they get hot and now they're in the tournament. So as far as Houston fans, I think they got to feel pretty good about how the season went. First year in the Big 12, basically announcing, hey, we are going to be a big-time player in big-time basketball in the Big 12 moving forward.
Yeah, I think, like you said, as things got rolling early on, Houston was confident that they had a good team. They heard the chatter from around the country that, now Houston won't be able to roll through. And even Kelvin Sampson said it at one point earlier in the year. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because I just heard the quote again the other day, and he was saying, this isn't the AAC anymore. We're not going to win. We're not going to go 27 and whatever. As it turns out, they did anyway. But I don't, I what he said at the time was perfectly true, obviously. And then when Houston had a rough welcome to the Big 12, those first two road games that losing to Ames and then losing to TCU, that was a bit of a wake-up call. Not necessarily like people were too overhyped about it, just that was one of those, this is Big 12. Any night, any of these teams can rise up and beat anybody. It's just how it works in a better, deeper, and as it turns out, probably the best basketball conference at the moment. So, and then once they got rolling a little bit more, they did a pretty good job of staying level-headed, and keeping grounded in the moment, so to speak. Jamal Shed has been just great for them to watch. The people that have watched him since he got here have just seen him grow into what a tremendous kid and tremendous basketball player. So the fan base has been excited. And then as it kept going and they started building those wins, they were hanging around top of the Big 12 standings. They started believing a little bit more like, hey, we were happy coming in and being competitive, but maybe now we have a shot at potentially winning this. So, and then of course, people down the stretch had really, obviously the Texas game was important to the Houston fans, both of those games.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, as it got closer to the end, they realized that Kansas was potentially going to be that game, last game of the season. You get them at home, and that might be for the conference title. And so as it turns out, it was for them to win it outright. But just the atmosphere in the Fertitta Center, they had already done a pretty good job of creating a good atmosphere there with the success they've had even before joining the Big 12. But this year, it has gotten like progressively better. They've done a great job. I was talking to I've got a intern that works for me, Blake, and he's a student, and I was talking to him about how much just simply more knowledgeable the student section has become, and him and a few other guys that are knowledgeable in sports and whatnot have done a good job of just helping educate the fans on some of the basic stuff so that they're not just students screaming and making noise. They're actually, actively participating, and they're becoming more knowledgeable and more direct with their, chants and taunts and this and that. At least
Absolutely.
it makes sense more. And I told him that's something that hasn't always been that way. And it's good to see that, some of the best blue bloods in the country, you got like the Cameron Crazies, some of these atmospheres in their student sections are known. So, I think it's a good thing as Houston continues to elevate itself and stay at the top of the college basketball world. It's good that they're developing a nice atmosphere and a good student section that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good thing that they're basically buying in to what the Big 12 is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The Big 12 are very knowledgeable fans, football, but especially in basketball. I shouldn't say especially, but also in basketball.
Yeah.
And the atmospheres are really, really good. So it's good that they are buying into that and understand, hey, we're in the big time now. And I'm not saying they weren't a big time program before, but, it is a big time conference. It is a step up. The atmospheres are all crazy. They're all electric, and they're all special in their own special way. We even saw it with UCF this year. UCF, people thought, maybe they might buy in. Basketball won't be as good. They bought in immediately, and they packed that place, and they were able to pull off some upsets. So I am happy because I think that was what a lot of people were afraid of with Houston. People thought, okay, are they going to care? Right. And I think they got an awakening thinking, oh, yeah, they care. They absolutely care. One last question that I got to ask you before I let you go here. Houston, where they're at with the draw, with the team the way that it is right now, are they going to win this, Rob?
I think they're probably they've got to be. I've not looked at the betting lines in terms of overall, but they've got to be up there near the top in terms of best odds.
Absolutely.
Now that the draw is out, and so I've always tried to temper. Not, I don't want to get the fans too high. Rob, you said you thought of this and that, but this year's been different. You know what I mean? And even after the injuries, I really questioned whether or not they can actually get it done. But it's tough to bet against them. I know the program enough to know how those guys are going to play and how they're going to fight and how tough it is for teams, especially they don't see them, or especially you catch a team on a second game on a weekend.
Yep.
And they have tired legs, and then they've got Houston's defense to deal with. I think they've got a real shot at it. I think if I had to put my money on it, that's the team I'd bet on looking at it before it starts.
Absolutely. So I want to thank you, Rob, for taking the time to join us today. I know you got a lot going on. So like I said, we appreciate all the time that you've given us so far. And in the future,
happy.
We'll have you back. So thank you. We appreciate it, Rob.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
All right. We're going to take one quick break, one more scheduled quick break here before we end the show on the other side of this. Again, one word from our sponsor with Synergy Financial Partners.
At Synergy Financial Partners, the vision is to build the world's largest consumer financial education and empowerment company. Synergy doesn't just offer you a financial plan. At Synergy, the goal is to help you find your best financial future. Learn more at synergyfinancial.com.
Welcome back to the show. Let's head back to the studio.
So NCAA tournament, look, there's certain things that you have to be able to win the tournament. You got to have good leadership, which means you got to have good guard play. Houston's got that. You got to have a head coach, number one, that's experienced. Kelvin Sampson's definitely that, and can make in-game adjustments. Well, you know that he can do that as well. The man's an outstanding coach. You got to play defense. They play defense. Look, all the things that you need, Houston's got. There's one more aspect. And here lately, it's been something that's come into play. You got to have older guys. In a game right now where one and dones and everybody's a freshman and people are transferring, Houston has older guys. And with older guys comes even more experience and more poise. I think Houston has all the makeup and all the things necessary to go win a national championship. Will they do it? I don't know. But that's why we love March Madness, but I think Houston's got a great shot. I appreciate everybody being in here. Tomorrow, Kelly in Vegas will be on the show. We're going to break down the tournament, have a lot of odds talking about who should win, who could win, Big 12 teams, what their odds are. Make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. We'll be back tomorrow to do it better. We appreciate it. You guys have a good one.
This has been a GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street production. Please support this show by subscribing to this YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast platform.